My friends, greetings and God bless you from the United States of America. I've been here now about a half a week, so I'm just getting over the jet lag, as you can imagine, coming from the Eastern Hemisphere to the Western Hemisphere, where things are reversed. Day is night and night is day. It takes a little time to get used to, but over the weekend, we went to church. Now, my parents, they go to church Saturdays and Sundays, but my wife wants to go to this Protestant church that we've been to a number of times, and it's actually a great church. I've been to a lot of Protestant churches with my wife, some good, some not so good, quite frankly, and this one's really good. The minister that runs it, he's really good, and something was said before the sermon that I'll get to in a moment that is kind of shocking or surprising unless you're in the know. And it's kind of funny, the other morning I woke up really early because of the time difference, and on TV there was this show on telling us how evil Mel Gibson and his father are, and they were telling us some of the crazy things that Mel Gibson's dad said and the people they had on to tell us how terrible these things are. One was a rabbi and the other was a Jewish journalist. So not exactly impartial guys. But anyways, these things that Mel Gibson's dad says, these are things that he was saying back in the 60s and 70s, to give him credit, before a lot of people knew about certain things. Now, especially if you talk to the truth community or even beyond that, a lot of this stuff that he was saying back then, there are crazy things. These are just accepted as truths today by anyone that's at all paying attention. But I digress. The minister of this church, he gave an awesome sermon, and the sermon was on the new covenant. Now, a lot of people, even people that claim to be Christians, they don't even know really what the new covenant is. And I'm not saying know it to the level where they can teach it and explain it. I mean, a lot of them, they don't even know what that term means, the new covenant. But it's pretty much the basis for our entire religion. If you don't have that, you don't have Christianity. It's pretty much as simple as that. But one of the things that the minister taught that's very true about the new covenant is it's not just for the Jews, it's for everyone. It doesn't matter your race, your nationality, your social status. It applies to all of us. And isn't that a beautiful thing, that we can all go to paradise? It doesn't matter. You can take a Hollywood big shot actor like Will Smith, who's a multi-millionaire and who's idolized by millions of people, and then you can find some hillbilly that's working at a gas station in Alabama, and if they follow the teachings of this and the new covenant, they do the certain things that you have to do, they will end up together in paradise. So it really doesn't matter what race you are, what your nationality is, what your social status, any of that stuff. We're all equals in terms of this. And you hear a lot about equality these days. Most of it, quite frankly, is a lot of nonsense. But this is the one thing where you have true equality. And by the way, Will Smith, I'm not trying to say he's a Christian or anything like that. In fact, as far as I know, he's definitely not a Christian, as far as the stuff I've seen. But when you're a Christian, it's like having a gift that's wonderful, but it's not something that you want to just keep to yourself. You don't want to be selfish with it. You want to share it with everyone you know. So I would want someone like Will Smith to come around and join us in paradise. Now, granted, he's a very annoying guy, but I don't think it's going to be that way in the next life. So we want people like that to share in this. It's not a gift that we want to selfishly keep to ourselves. So we want everyone, regardless of what kind of person they are in this world, actually, we want them to have what we have, whether it's Will Smith or a hillbilly working at a gas station. We all want us to be in the same place, and it's as simple as that. But he gave this great sermon on the New Testament, but one of the things that was kind of shocking to me, but not really that shocking, like I said, if you're in the know and you know kind of what's going on in the world and how things work, the political world, the religious world. Before the minister gave his sermon, they had someone get up to make a few announcements, talk about kind of what's going on in the church and what they're doing. One of the things was kind of a marriage counseling thing, or to teach love and respect for married couples, which I'm sure is a great program, a great service that church is doing. But another one of the things that was brought up was this trip to Israel that they're going to do. And he kind of went over this real quick, so I don't have all the details, but he mentioned that it's sponsored by the government of Israel, and they're going to go there, they're going to see the sites, and they're going to teach them how to pray. I think meaning the Israelis are going to teach the Christians how to pray. And to me, it's kind of surprising that this is mentioned. Like I said, they kind of went over this real quick, so I don't have all the details. First of all, a foreign government is sponsoring something, and I don't know exactly what that means. I don't know if they're paying for flights or if they're just touring them around, or what that means financially. But anytime someone wants to pay for something for you, as that old expression, there's no such thing as a free lunch, you got to be asking, why is that? There should be red flags popping off. So a foreign government is sponsoring this, and it should also be noted, this is a secular government. And not only is it a secular government, even the people that are religious in this place, you can be sure they are not Christians. They are actually of a religion that rejects Jesus Christ, that rejects the new covenant. They don't follow the new covenant, which was what the sermon was later about. And it's like, this doesn't raise any red flags for people. Now, I'm not going to get into all the reasons for this, but the nation of Israel, they do work with a lot of American churches, Protestantism. That's why you have something called Christian Zionism. And traditionally, we don't have that in Catholicism, though you're starting to see it all of a sudden in Catholicism, because when they say the chosen people, to us, as meaning a Catholic, that means Catholics. It doesn't mean some sort of racial thing, like you have to be born a particular race. Like I said, the new covenant, the beautiful thing is, it applies to everyone of every single race. And I remember back in college, I had a black wrestling coach, great guy, and I ended up going over to his house one day where he lived with his wife and kids, and can't remember why I was over there. But something that kind of amused me, but I very much understood, when I went into his house, he had a painting on the wall of the Last Supper, and in the painting, Jesus and the apostles, they were all black. And that kind of made me laugh on the inside a bit. I didn't say anything. This is a very tough guy. And I didn't say anything, but at the same time, I also very much understood where they're coming from, because I always kind of thought it strange that, you know, for black people, the way Jesus is portrayed, he's portrayed as European looking, and, you know, other people say Middle Eastern, you know, Jewish looking or Middle Eastern looking. Some people say he was Greek, but I can understand why people wouldn't want to worship a god of another race. So that kind of made sense to me, why he would want his God to be black, his version of Jesus. And not to get off too much on a tangent, but that's why we're not really supposed to know what Jesus looked like. No one knows what his physical characteristics were like, because we all have our own personal biases that would play into it, and it would take away from the message. It would take away from what's important. So I just wanted to share this with you, my experience going to yet another Protestant church with my wife. And like I said, this is a great church. I'm not trying to make it look like the church itself is bad or anything like that. But to me, this really raised some red flags, and I would like to follow up with more questions. I don't know if I'll get an opportunity to do that at that church. I'm sure I'll be going back to this church many more times, even with my parents. Something about this church that my parents were remarking about, too, it's kind of funny, about how friendly the people are, how everyone says hello, and my mom was saying how at her church, people seem like they don't want to be there. But at this church, everyone's very happy to be there. And there is a reason for that, like I explained in other videos. The Catholic philosophy of church is, it's not about you. You're not there to be entertained. You're there to worship God, and that's all it's about. And at these Protestant churches, of course, they like to try and make it a lot more exciting. But you guys, If you have any thoughts or feelings on what I said, be sure to leave a comment down below. And you can go ahead, check out my other videos. That last one I did on the prosperity gospel is one of my best ones. And I know this isn't a channel about religion, and I'm talking more and more about religion in these videos, but the reality is it takes so much of my time, so much of my thoughts are spent contemplating these issues about God, about religion, about getting answers, about getting truth. So I hope you enjoy sharing all this stuff with you, and not just when I talk about other things. Until next time, my friends. Bye. Bye.